Hey, Ponderers. It's been a little while since I made one of these. I just did a recording 50 minutes long that didn't have my mic on, so this is my second run. So some of this I've kind of already said before, but um, yeah, I haven't been making these consistently. There's been a lot going on my side of things. I've been noticing like it can be hard to make these videos because I have a tendency to want to make these about the game design, make these about Orb. And so then when I have that feeling, I like evaluate, is this something worth sharing in a video format? Is this something that the community wants to hear? And like that evaluation, I feel like just like complicates the project, like complicates me and the output of this video too much. So I like right now, all I want to do is just show up and talk, which is not necessarily something about game design. Maybe I will share more game design stuff, but like right now, I kind of just want to talk about what's happening for me, emotionally mostly, as a creative, like what my process looks like. Yeah, I think sharing that stuff is like it's important for me because it's it's like more it's like 80% of my work on this project. It's like me sitting down programming. That stuff like happens automatically if my like emotional state is like aligned. Like if I'm feeling good about myself and I'm feeling like loved and appreciated and like in those positive emotion states, like programming, game design, that stuff just like pours out of me. But if I'm like feeling bad about myself and not liking where I am or something like that, then like the amount of creative output that comes out of me is like dampened by a long shot. So like my process emotionally as a creative is to like really create that container for myself and finding love for myself and things like that, then like then the game starts to develop itself. It's like once the emotional systems are in place, everything else just starts to happen automatically. So as a creative, it feels really nice to share this side because I don't maybe in my like YouTube feeds or whatever in my bubble I don't get to experience this very often, but I feel like people don't talk about the emotional side of being creative very much. And I think it's really important that this gets shared. I think for me too, just because I don't want to show up with a mask with this project. Like I have so much resistance to showing up as like some developer who knows what they're doing. I have no clue what I'm doing in a large sense. Like I know how to program. I know how to like put programming pieces together to make a game. Like I know that process, but there's such a level of like unknown to me around the meta stuff around creating project. Like you can grow infinitely in whatever skill you wanted to choose in life. I feel like you can grow infinitely, and programming, game design, putting a game on the internet, like all that stuff is like there's so much learning for me in that space. So I can feel like I have no idea what I'm doing very often. So yeah, that happens for me. I think something else in sharing these videos that can be a struggle for me that is still like a learning process is that I often feel like I'm behind. Like if there's like some other developer that was working on this project instead of me, that Orb 1.0 would have been out like a year ago, or there'd just be so much more done if somebody else was working on this project. But because it's me, it feels like it's really far behind. And when I want to share like game design stuff with you guys, I just get this feeling like, oh, if they see how much I've worked on this project, they'll think that I haven't worked enough or something like that. And it's really silly, but it's really ingrained in my nervous system. Like, it feels like kind of like life threatening in a sense when it's so deep in my nervous system. And so making videos like this is like a practice of me trusting that that's not the case. And even if there is people that think I'm behind, that they aren't representative of the truth. And that feels like hard to break in my system, other than just like having faith and showing up like this and just like being raw, just telling you that like I am working on the game. Maybe it's not as far as I'd like it to be, but it is happening. And just trusting that that's fine. I think that I feel like that's not fine or something, like it's not okay to be where I am, or it's not okay that my process feels slow or something like that. And it's weird because when I have this in my body, again, it's a part of like that emotional process where it just slows everything down. It's just like if I start up my computer and I open up Unity and I look at the game and I feel like I'm behind, it just slows down the whole thing. Like it makes me not want to be there. It makes me not want to program. Like, and when I don't want to program, there's no way I can force myself to. It like if I sit down and I force myself to work when I'm not in a place where I want to, it just makes a mess. It just makes a mess. I write systems that like I have to delete the next day. It like game design wise, I like make the most uninspired stuff when it's that way, and it doesn't feel good. It just straight up just does not feel good. So the thing that like I've really been trying to cultivate for myself in the effort of creating like this really clean emotional state, so that creativity has just like a natural output out of me, I have to one of the things that I've been learning is self-trust. Trusting that even though it feels like I don't know what I'm doing, that like there's a part of me that's really scared, trusting that despite that feeling, that I am capable and that there is something in me that knows what it's doing. Trusting that like whatever comes out of me creatively is what needs to happen for the project. In the last development log, for example, uh, I've been talking about how we're on the road to 1.0, and that's still the case. But when I have that like mentality of I'm finishing Orb, what do I need to do to finish Orb? It's a very like logical like process of like, okay, we need to create this system, we need to finish rituals, we need to do this. And like that logic, while it can be helpful, I feel like it's not effective in creating a good game. Um, if I'm in the mode of just like trying to finish Orb, I try it like tries to funnel my creativity down a very narrow path, and it feels like it drains the project of like its love and its passion when it's that way. It's just this I need to do this, do it this way, and it's like it just doesn't feel good to me. Like it feels really uninspired, and it feels like if I was to finish, for example, rituals in that space, rituals would just come out like as this like really bland thing. And I can feel like that's true in my body. And like I think some companies, especially like companies that have hundreds of people working under them, they don't have the luxury that I do of just like sitting and like letting creativity take the project where it needs to go. Companies that are paying hundreds of people salaries, they need to create an end and let that end generate the money. They need to have that system in place where I don't really have to finish Orb in a sense. And like I actually just don't. Like there's a way where I truly could abandon this project. Like and that's been like important for me to consider because I think like creativity wise, if I just feel like I need to be here and I need to work on this project, that burns me out. That burns me out. That like that's part of the reason why like I need to take breaks is because I get so logical about this, about what needs to get done and stuff, that it just like kills the really passionate side of me in this project. So trust for me is not necessarily moving in a logical manner and trusting the thing that wants to move in me, trusting that that is more important than the logic, which is, it feels really weird. And um, the word that I think a lot of people use is intuition. Like my intuition tells me that I need to work on this random part of the game that has nothing to do with like finishing the project. But then like I'm just like sitting there, I'm working on it, and then as I'm doing that, it feels like I'm unearthing cool aspects of the game that I didn't realize that I could make. But because like I decided to work on this, my intuition gave me the ability to unearth this. And I feel like that's kind of like what creativity is for me. It's like this digging process. It's not me. It's not me making the game. It's like I'm unearthing it and it's like creating itself. And when I get out of like the logic of I'm the one creating this and like that that sense, I feel like the most magical part of this game comes out. And that's the most important part of this project for me is that like magic. Feel like I can just talk a lot about this. It's good. But yes, trust. Trust is one of the things that I feel like cleans up my emotional system a lot. Love as well. Like just taking care of myself um, in all aspects is just like another really important part to have this creativity, have like a clean channel for it to come out of me. Um, yeah, I wonder how many other people experience their creativity in this way because I don't know if I don't think I'm alone in this. I think we're just like humans in our like current level of society. We're not taught EQ. We're not taught like emotional intelligence in school or anything like that. And it's been something that I've been blessed with the awareness of is that like our emotional system and like how my emotions work and stuff like that and how to like engage with them. Um, yeah, I feel like a lot of people would benefit from an increased awareness of emotions, but yeah, that's tangential. Yeah, I want to wrap this up in some like nice manner, but really, there's beautiful things happening in the game. Perhaps I will get to share some of that. Um, but yeah, this I'm still here. I'm still working on this game. I know I see some like threads in the Discord and stuff about is the game abandoned. It's not abandoned. It just takes time and it takes um, for me there's so much learning emotionally and just generally. Um, yeah. So I desire to show up more in these videos. Um, I think maybe if I create some sort of schedule for myself or something like that, that I could show up more. Like if I just like first of every month, no matter what's happening for me, just show up and make a video like this where I just talk openly. I feel like that could be effective, but I'm still figuring that out for myself. So I don't have any promises there yet. Um, but yeah, I just like showing up and trusting that like where I'm at is good is a good practice for me anyways. So that's kind of what this video is for me is just like showing up where I am is good. Where you are is good too. Just a reminder. And yeah. Yeah. Okay. Take care. Um and yeah. 1.0. It's still happening.